Welcome to Hairdresser Power. And Hairdresser Power, the concept of it is a channel neutral. We're not talking about product. We're not talking about anything. We're talking about knowledge and information because I believe that hairdressers have so much power and they help people and they change lives. And today we're here with Zach Mesquit because once again, you don't want to mess with that or you better quit it, right? Mesquit, I'm saying it right.
Yeah, you're saying it
right. And Zach is online and known as Platinum_Perfection. And as you can see, we have it right up on the board here. He and I have the ability to see exactly what you're seeing, which is kind of cool.
It is cool.
But we're trying not to look, right?
Yeah, we're trying not to.
So if you see us going like this, oh yeah, it's not because we're being rude. We're supposed to look at the camera, but obviously, or each other. So there you go. Yes. So Hairdresser Power, welcome, first show. You guys, this show is gonna live on YouTube. So if you wanna see these episodes as we produce them, they'll be on YouTube under Hairdresser Power. And then also, you can go on Facebook to Hairdresser Power. We have them up on the board for you. Hairdresser Power Hairdresser Power on YouTube, and Hairdresser Power on Instagram. So these shows will live there. And then what we're gonna do too, Zach, which you agreed to, and I think that's great, is if we come up with something that's really amazing during this interview, we'll condense it and share it on Instagram. Because that's, people don't wanna look at the long format sometimes. So this is gonna be about 20 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, and we are going to focus on your top 5 posts that you've shared with us. Okay. And we're gonna put them on, we're gonna talk about them, talk about your inspiration, what's going on, and we'll get started from there. Okay. So, and you guys, by the way, if you have any questions for us, okay, you can submit your questions. I have someone off camera here, which is gonna call through them and just pick the best of the best, at least their opinion. Sorry if we don't get your question. And they're gonna give them to Zach and I on this little iPad right here, and we'll be able to answer them throughout the show. So let's get started without further ado, here we go, and here's Zach. So Zach, yes. I want to put up your first picture, a post, your most famous post, and let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so here it is, and it'll show up right behind us. Okay, what is this all about, Zach?
Okay, so this is my first meme I ever that I ever made that kind of went a little viral on Instagram, and I was inspired to make this because this was at a point, you know how there'll be meme trends
yes.
that go around people will take the same photo.
Can you wait one moment? Can you explain for all of the people out there that don't understand what a meme is? Give them an idea of what that is.
Okay, so a meme is basically a comedic yet very relatable little clip of a photo, sometimes a video, but it's usually a photo. Okay. And people will put words to it that basically makes it relatable. So a picture will get viral for a while. For a long time, there was this thing with Kermit the Frog going around. Yes. Where it's Kermit talking to dark Kermit, and it's what you're saying to yourself, but then this is the other side of you.
It's the other side of you, great.
Yeah, so this to me was very relatable for myself and a lot of, I think, my followers, since I've become known for the ultra white blonde hair. Yes. So I thought to myself, when I saw this photo, oh wow, my hair is completely see-through, me to me, bleach it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know, it came to me one day and I posted it, and it was just getting reposted everywhere. People seem to really be getting a good kick out of it, because anybody who does the kind of work that I like to do with trying to get hair as white as possible, it's never white enough.
Right, right. So till it's see-through, right?
Yeah, till it's see-through. So yeah, so just bleach it again kind of became my little
kind of that's a hashtag you're pushing right now too, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So then this was a few months ago, and then just recently, a week or two ago, I thought let's because I'm figuring out that I'm enjoying engaging with my followers more and finding ways to just make Instagram more fun. So I thought of this meme was such a big deal to a lot of people, so I was let's turn it into a hashtag, bleach it again. If you have a photo of some really, really white hair that you're proud of, hashtag bleach it again. Then when I can see it,
yeah, and then everybody starts to follow that. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And so then I'll take. If I see a photo that I really like that uses the hashtag, I'll repost it into my Instagram story and kind of give that follower a little bit of a shout out type of a thing.
Hey guys, bleach it again. Let's start doing it. Let's start the trend today, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, what's the next one? We got another one. Look it up. That was really cool. Oh yeah, this is your classic, right?
Yeah, this is just my classic, just straight white, silky platinum hair.
Beautiful or gorgeous hair, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Can you tell us about that process? Because that's, I think one of the things that I want to share on the Hairdresser Power Show is the process. A little bit short, short and sweet because internet, but yeah.
Yeah, well, generally it's not so much of a complicated process as it is just knowing how to work with the product. So, everyone's head is a different project, but basically what I always strive for is to get people's hair as white as possible without having to really cover it up with a lot of toners and things like that. Like I try to just get the purest, whitest blonde I can. I think this client also, if I can remember who she is, she also has extensions in there. So
yeah, it looks like she might, yes.
Yeah, so that's another thing I do a lot of is extension work. So
yeah, and that's very popular right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you're pushing the hair, I mean, you know, me being a hairdresser for a long time, I know one of the challenges is, for example, breaking bands, things of that nature. And so what is your, like, one word of advice, the best word of advice you give people when you're going up? Do you go into the roots first, you go in the roots second? What is your application? You know, what is the basic, like, rule of thumb that you follow?
Well, I always do the roots last when I'm doing a full bleach out. That's like what I've been teaching like in today's class and the past couple, because the roots are always going to come up the quickest because of the body heat.
Absolutely.
So I focus on the mid shaft first, then the ends, and then the roots last.
And I notice you're very meticulous in your application when you're doing your classes. Can you explain the importance of being meticulous?
Yeah, super important to be very tidy, very meticulous. I take paper thin sections the whole way through, because when you're bleaching, you want to make sure that everything is really saturated, because I always tell the students in the class to aim for an even lift more than the level of lift.
Right.
So it's more important to get it, even if you only get it to like yellow, you know, if it's perfectly even yellow, you can tone it to a nice, you know, lighter blonde.
Like a blonde, a golden blonde.
Yeah, a golden blonde even, but then you can go in there a month later and lift it again.
Right.
But if it's spotty, even if it's 50-50 white and yellow, it doesn't really help you to have those white areas because it's just going to be a problem.
It's just too hard to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so I always try to teach you that it's most important to just get things even.
I agree, 100%. And you know, the thing is, if you take the smaller sections, like I say, you can get better saturation. And I also know that you reapply quite consistently with your bleach. You keep it wet, you keep it moist. Go ahead and tell folks.
Yeah, because basically, you know, even with a super meticulous application, you're still going to get areas that for whatever reason are processing slightly slower than others. So what I do is after I get everything in there where I want it, all my different volumes of bleach and all that, everything's saturated, I'll start going back through where I started. And if I see any spots that are not coming up as quickly as I'd like them to, or maybe I see a dry spot or whatever, I'll have a fresh batch of bleach there, and usually like at least 10 volume higher than whatever I finished with. Right. And I'll just kind of spot check.
Pick it up. It'll pick it up. Yes, exactly.
Just right. I don't rinse it out and reapply. I just basically go right on top of that bleach.
Because that's a lot of extra work that you're avoiding.
Yeah, definitely. So
okay, great. Now, do you generally, when you're doing the bleaching technique, do you generally watch the temperature of the room? Do you ever use heat? Do you ever use moisture? I mean, what do you do there? I notice you're pretty traditional. You just go for it. Yeah,
I really go for it. But I mean, I try to avoid heat as much as possible.
Good man.
Yeah, because in my theory, like, I just think it's more important to go like low and slow.
Yes.
You know, like if you're cooking like, you know, a roast or something, it always comes out better if you cook it low and slow than if you just like blast it in the broiler, you know?
You heard it right here, low and slow.
Yeah,
Zach recommends
low and slow. So if I have the time allowed, I will definitely always start with the lowest volume I think I can get away with.
Okay.
Take my time applying it and just let it sit there and do its thing.
And then evaluate.
Yeah, and then I'm always babysitting it the whole time. I maybe leave for like, you know, 10 minutes to go eat from the food truck when we're here doing a class, but I pretty much have my hands in it almost the whole time. Okay. I'm spot checking things. I'm seeing how things are lifting. I'm testing the elasticity. So I don't like to use heat. If I can avoid it, I usually do.
I'm with you 100%. I'm absolutely with you. Well, what do we have for the next picture? Oh wow. So now that's a little more silvery. Tell me about that. Was there toning involved? What went on there?
Yeah, this one was more heavily toned. This photo's a little older. I don't remember exactly what I toned with, but yeah, this is also really popular, just the gray silver tones.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone's wanting those nowadays, I feel like.
I think there's a lot more options now. There's more manufacturers coming out with like, you know, better toners, one-step toners that are really helpful.
Yeah, and I've noticed like in talking with like some other stylists and stuff that I work with that have been doing it longer than me, toning has kind of been something that was like done a lot like back a few years ago, and then kind of people moved away from. They got into the real like natural, like kind of warm balayage type of things. Yes. And then I've noticed like lately, like really like lifted and toned hair is like really trendy right now.
It is.
So I feel like knowing what you're doing with toners and how to get to where you want to be, especially with like the more metallics and gray tones, is like really important.
What's your trend right now? What do you think the trends are in toners that you see?
I definitely notice a lot of people are wanting root shadows. So a little different color at the root you know, maybe a little darker, or maybe sometimes people even want like a fashion color in the root. But definitely root shadowing, I think, is the latest.
That is really popular right now. There's a lot more options, I say, for products that are really getting good now. So that's a great example. That's beautiful. Yeah. So what do we have next? Okay, Snow White.
Some more Snow White, yeah. This one, I think, is one that I just straight bleached and didn't tone at all.
Wow.
So yeah, that's always my goal. If I can get it, my goal is to always try to get it to where I don't need toner, because no matter what, toner is always going to fade out.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, so this, I think I just used a little violet shampoo at the end, but she was just a straight.
That was great. What did you start out on that? What level did you start out? Do you
This girl actually is funny because she's Armenian, so her hair is really dark.
So she might be a level 3 even.
Yeah, she's really, really dark.
Wow.
So I didn't take her from her natural level to this, but when she originally came in, she had it bleached a few different places, so she had all kinds of blotches and patches of yellow and all that stuff.
So that's in those meticulous sections, varying your level of volume of peroxide, obviously, and just getting it back to just a standard canvas, right?
Just evening things out,
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And then also, you know, you go after, you know, your level 1s, and you go up. And how long is that day for you? And tell me about a day when you're going after a level 1, for example.
Well, what I always tell like a new client, especially if they're coming in just like straight all dark like that, is, you know, I can't guarantee anything because bleach is such an unpredictable product. You can, you know, work with a certain brand all the time and know exactly how it works, but everyone's hair responds differently. So I, for the past couple years, have just only strictly done things in sessions. So I tell them, you know, this is what my hourly rate is. You know, book out at least 3 hours. That gives me a good amount of time to carefully apply, and then it gives them about an hour to process, and then, you know, I have time to tone or whatever afterwards. But yeah, so I basically tell them this is how much it costs per hour. I need at least this much time. So the more hours that you can budget to book out, the lighter you're gonna get.
Right, exactly.
So that way, like, as a stylist, you void yourself of too much responsibility, because you're saying, I can get you white if you wanna book out 12 hours, you know?
Oh yeah, anybody, right?
Yeah, exactly. But so that way they're never disappointed, because it's up to their hair, how well it responds, and also up to how much they want to spend that day.
Excellent. And that makes it a little easier for them to accept it. Like if you get them to, like, say, pale yellow, and they're like, you know, this isn't what I expected, and then they're probably more likely to say, you know, give me a couple more hours that day. Is that how it works for you, do you think?
Well, my schedule's booked tight enough to where I usually can't be like, okay, well, let's keep going. But I'll just tell them,
come on back.
Come back, yeah. But I always set the tone in the initial consultation before I even book their color appointment. I say that this is how it's going to be. Like, I don't guarantee anything. So nobody's ever disappointed.
So you let them know their expectations. Realistic expectations.
Keeping it realistic, yeah.
I think that's very important. I think people that aren't, like, a lot of people want to get into this service. They do. But they have to know. You have to be realistic when you approach your clients. And tell them how you do it. I mean, what's the consultation like for you?
What I always first ask them is if they're ready for the commitment. Because the thing is about this color is, even though you can get there, can you maintain it? Because to touch up this type of color, only very few people are naturally lift easily enough that they can go past 4 weeks.
Right.
So, you know, I tell them, like, hey, are you down to get your roots done every 4 weeks? Because if you wait longer, I'm going to charge you more money.
And you're going to have to break bands and...
yeah, you're going to get bands in your hair. It's going to be way harder for me to lift it. So it's not going to be just a root touch-up price if you come in past 40.
Yeah.
So I tell them, like, you have to be committed to that. And if they're cool with that, then I start telling them about, you know, I know how to get you there, obviously, but I don't know how long it will take. So I never, even if in my own head I think, okay, this will be easy, I never tell them that.
Right.
Because, you know, if you overestimate how well you think their hair is going to lift, and then it doesn't do what you think it's going to do, then you look bad, then they're mad. Yeah. So I've just kind of learned how to adapt to keep things just very real and, like, no promises made.
Great.
But I just tell them, like, you know, I can get you there if you're just patient, and, you know, we'll see after the first session. Maybe I'll be able to say, okay, next time we'll get you there. Maybe it'll be 3 more times. You never know.
Yeah, right.
So.
Well, that's great. That's something people do need to realize when they're getting into these type of services, is realistic expectations. I don't think we have any questions yet. I'm just making sure, not yet. So, okay, let's go for the next one then, guys. Okay, now this is, can you tell us, this looks very similar. Obviously, it was a different individual. What'd you start with here, and how'd you get there?
She's actually one of the lucky few where she can go longer between getting her roots done. She can go like 6 or 8 weeks, but yeah, she has extensions as well. This is another example of just solid bleach out. No toner.
Really? Because that is, like when I saw that one, I was like, now this is
It's really white, yeah.
awesome. Very white, yeah.
It's always the whitest when you don't have to tone it.
Yes, absolutely,
Always,
right?
yeah.
And then what was she starting out with her level?
She, I believe, is a level 7. Yeah, she's a 7.
Oh, so yeah.
So she's pretty light.
Yeah.
So it's definitely way easier to get them there when they're, like I'd say, level 7 and lighter.
Yes,
to get them to that no toner. But it can be done. Like, even on like my wife, her hair is like, I'd say level 3 naturally, and she's no toner. Wow. Yeah, so.
Where'd she go? She's right over there.
She's over there, yeah.
It's gorgeous, obviously, yeah.
So it can
So
happen.
how often does your wife, for example, get her touch-ups?
Every 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's great. Let's go check the next one, because I think we did 5, your top 5.
Oh, crystal.
Okay, crystals.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted you to actually bring your crystals in today.
I know,
right?
I forgot, I'm sorry.
You've been so busy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of your crystal clusters, and tell us about how this inspires you.
Well, I'm always like looking at like nature, I think, for inspiration, like especially because doing blondes, like you have to see like very like subtleties in color, I think. So obviously the photo looks just like rainbow, like it's full of blues and pinks and stuff.
Absolutely.
But if you look at a crystal, like these aura crystals, they're called, they're all different colors. They change color like with the light. So you move them around. So I try to like, with my toners, I like things to be more than what they at first appear, you know? So I think things like this are definitely inspirational because, you know, you might see a blonde can look white, but then in certain lights it can move and it can look kind of pink, or it can look kind of purple, or it can look kind of blue. Like,
it does,
I like to play around with like subtleties.
It'll
like
pick
that.
up what you're wearing. It'll pick up what you're around because, like I say, it's reflective. Light is as you see it coming back at you. It's all about reflective light.
Yeah.
So you use the crystals to kind of get ideas and motivations and things of that nature, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So now that crystal, I know a lot of people are into crystals now. They're into crystals in their water. They're into crystals on their nails and everything. Now, where do you get a crystal like that, Zach?
That actually came from one of my clients. She owns a business where it's a really interesting process. She takes raw, like natural crystals, like this is a quartz from Arkansas. Arkansas actually is one of the best places to get quartz if anyone's interested. It's really nice and like water clear. So she has this machine that's traditionally used for making dichroic glass, which is that shimmery kind of iridescent glass. It's crazy, like a $2 million machine.
Wow.
Yeah, that's her family-owned business, and she was a crystal like energy healer, like she would do some type of healing with crystals.
Familiar with that.
Yeah, so one day she was like, oh, I wonder what happened if I put a crystal in this machine. So she put it in there, and that's how these came about.
They're gorgeous.
But the process is really cool. So what they do is they mount the crystals onto this grate upside down, and they put it up in the top of the chamber, which is about 6 feet high. And then at the bottom of the chamber, she'll put different combinations of metals. It's all secret, so I don't know what the metals are. And so then the chamber is sealed. They heat it up to pretty hot. I can't remember, over 200 degrees. And then there's a laser that is aimed at the metal, and it vaporizes the metal.
Okay.
And then the electrical charge or something somehow bonds the metals permanently to the crystal. So it's not like it's
that mirror finish.
Yeah, so it's not like it's painted, or it's a permanent like molecular bond to the stone itself. So it takes what would normally be just, you know, a plain clear stone and makes it like Lisa Frank.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So good. I think we have a question. I have my handy dandy iPad here, and I'll ask you. Let's see. Says Daniels, what is your favorite ash toner, Zach?
My favorite ash toner?
Yeah.
I would say if I had to pick one like go-to thing, I probably use the most of Fanola Silver.
Okay.
I like it just because it's a good balance of blue and violet, so it doesn't ever go too far either way. So it's just good at neutralizing yellow, but not getting too gray.
Another one here is, what do you recommend for a good round brush?
A good round brush?
Yeah.
Oh, what is the name? I have like my go-to brush, and I've used it so much the label is worn off. I think it's called Nanothermic.
Oh, Nanothermic, okay.
Nanothermic, they're gold. I know that. You can get them at Ulta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Nanothermic.
Okay. And there's another good question. How long did it take you to perfect the platinum blonde application, like what you do? How long have you been doing it for, and when did you get it? When did you get it wired?
Well, I'm always changing what I do a little bit, I should say first. Like I'm always trying to progress and like come up with new ways of doing things. But I got most of like the whole trial and error phase out on myself actually, like when I was in high school.
Okay.
So I just liked to mess around. I was always like into art and like color, like I just enjoyed messing around with my own hair. So I would say like my high school years is when I like kind of figured out, okay, like this is like the basics of like what you can and can't do with bleach.
Right, exactly. Well, that's awesome. Now, okay, so being that, when did you decide to be a hairdresser professionally? That's my question.
It was actually when I started dating my wife, I was just working at like a bar.
Okay.
I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like not serious, you know?
Right.
And I was like, okay, we wanted to get married. And I was like, I need to come up with like something I could do that could be an actual
like a
career. Yeah. And I was definitely not the college type. Like I'm just not studious at all. And like very artistic minded. So I was like, what can I do that'd be creative, but also, you know, I could earn a good living. And then I was like, well, I've always enjoyed messing with my own hair. And I was like, I'm kind of good at it. And I was doing like all my friends' hair at that point. So I was like, let me just try beauty school. You know, it's a small investment. If I don't like it, then, you know, I'll try something else.
The rest is history, huh?
Yeah, and I just liked it from the get-go.
This is great. And then, okay, so we wanted to know, and this is the big one, is what kind of extensions do you use, and do you bleach them separately?
As far as the brand of extensions, I mostly use a brand called Hair Couture.
Okay.
I use a few different methods. I use the wefts sometimes. I'll use the tapes sometimes. I'll use the micro, like the keratin fusion ones.
Yes.
The only ones I really don't do is the little individual beaded ones.
Yeah, okay.
Just because I think they're a little too heavy, but, and do I bleach them separately? Yeah. If I'm gonna bleach them, I'll always do it separate, usually, because it gets too messy to have everything all tangled in there.
It gets tangly.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, great. Now, the big one that we talked about earlier, and it came a lot around here, what are some of your top tips? Let me give you your top 3 tips on social media, especially Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
You knew it was coming, right?
Yeah. Well, Instagram,
Thanks, guys.
Instagram is pretty much all I use, so I think I'll stick to that. I would say the first tip I could give for social media in general, especially Instagram, is to be active, because when I first started my account, I used it and I would post photos here and there, but I didn't really like use it to its full potential until about a year after I started it.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean full potential?
Basically, like, I mean, there's a lot of people who they'll post a photo, but maybe they won't use hashtags or they don't interact. It's important to like interact with other people within the social media community, like whatever industry you're in. So obviously, like we're talking about hairdressers,
yes.
Like, you know, follow people that you enjoy their work, leave comments on their photos, like their photos.
Leave a footprint.
Yeah, you basically like treat it like networking is the most important thing I think you can do when it comes to like business. So if you're treating what you do as a business, you can use Instagram like you're at some big conference, you know? You use it to, even if it's somebody that you think is maybe out of your reach or whatever, somebody that has so many followers or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like comment on their photos and tell them how much you like their work and they see it, you know? And then if just little stuff like that will get you noticed and will just help grow your page a lot more, because especially also because the algorithm Instagram uses, the more active you are, the more they'll push your stuff to the popular page. So being active is super important. Like never miss a day of posting, you know, more than once a day if you can.
Right.
And then
treat it like a business, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then taking good quality pictures, I think, is really important. Yeah. Like a lot of people, I mean, I take all my photos with just my iPhone, so it's not like you have to have a fancy camera, but taking the time to make sure the hair looks smooth and like the lighting is right, and you know, the curls aren't all wonky. Like I can't tell you how many times like I'll see photos of people's stuff and it like, I'm like, the color or whatever, like it looks good, but it's like you can tell they didn't take the time. Right,
exactly.
So
and the lighting, and just be aware of what's going on. Don't have something really crazy in the background that's distractive. I notice sometimes I see people doing, I go, wow, why would they do
weird
that?
Stuff in the background, yeah. So being active, taking good photos, and let's see.
Well, let me ask you this. Like when you're doing work, for example, do you always do it before and after?
Not always. I should, but sometimes I get too excited to start, and I'll start putting the stuff on, and then I forget to take the before picture.
But that's a big deal as far as content, right? To do that on a daily basis.
Yeah, when I slack a lot more on that now, but when I was first like starting to like build and get people to notice me on there, I always did the before and after, because that I think is what originally got people interested in my work, was that they would see the transformation.
Yes.
So they would see it, because you might see some hair that's really white, but if you see where it started from and it was like dark, then it makes your work stand out.
It makes a big difference. It's more of a story. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
And it could go either way. It could be a good 1,000 words or a bad 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay. And then let's see what we have. It says, I know you don't work with an assistant. Okay. Do you know that? Wow. You never know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
I know you don't work with an assistant. I'm stalking you. No, just kidding. But do you accept shadowing?
Oh, I've had a lot of people ask me about that shit. I think that's when they like can come in and just watch you for a day.
Right, when they come in and they shadow, yes. I see what you wanted. You want to shadow him, not be his assistant, but shadow him and watch and learn from the Platinum Perfection Master himself.
Like a one-on-one.
Yes, how much do you charge for that?
I've never done that. I guess I could start doing it. I mean.
Yeah, well, if you're interested, get a hold of Zach. He's right there, right? And start a conversation with you, right?
Yeah, you can DM me. I'll see.
There you go, right? He's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Good question, by the way. Okay. We don't have any more questions for right now. You know, the last thing I probably want to say is, what's the future hold for you? Like, what do you see as trends? What do you see for the future? And what are you excited about?
Well, I'm always just excited to keep like trying new things, trying new products, like, you know, just advancing what I'm doing myself. I'm really excited that I've been the last few months getting into educating.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most, is just getting out there and traveling to other places to meet more, you know, other followers. And
yeah, and the more you do it, the better you get. I know from the very first class you did with us to this class, I mean, wow, your technique is so much better. And I mean, you know, when you first start out, you're a little nervous. It's just, you're progressing. And I say, because, you know, I've been doing education for a long time, is when you really are able to teach other people, you become better as a stylist yourself.
Definitely.
So have you found that to be true?
Definitely, yeah. I really find it to be like very inspiring just for myself too, to like step my game up when I'm teaching. So that's
awesome. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Let's see if we have any more questions. I don't have any more questions now.
Okay.
So you guys, hey, make sure to catch Zach at Platinum_Perfection. Also, this show right here will be on YouTube, on Hairdresser Power, and on Hairdresser Power on also Instagram, and then Hairdresserpower.com, kind of funky sounding, but on Facebook. So until next time, thank you so much, and remember to enjoy what you do, love what you do, and keep making people beautiful, right, Zach?
Yes.
That's what we do. That's the game. Thanks so much.
Thank you.